April 7, it's a 4:01. Please call the roll.
Chairperson Wani Garza.
Here.
Vice Chair Ted Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman John Lash.
Present.
Alderman Brandon Tolliver. Alderman Daniel Barreto.
Here.
4 present.
Okay. The first item is approval the minutes 25-0255 for Monday, March 24.
So moved.
Okay, motion passed by Alderman Lash and second Alderman Barreto. All in favor say aye. Oh, let me say, sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right, the first item on the agenda today is 24-0586, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to process a change order to the agreement with Cordegan Clark of Aurora of Architectural Design, Engineering, and Construction Services for the Fire Department Headquarters Fire Station Number 4 in the amount of $1,021,544.00.
Good afternoon, Alderman. I am Assistant Chief Mike Kaufman, Aurora Fire Department. Cordigan and Clark was selected via the RFP process in 2023 to provide architectural services, including design, engineering, and construction services for the fire headquarters EMA building. The original contract with CNC was a percentage of construction basis, which the city capped within the resolution as a not-to-exceed fixed dollar amount. The new contract value of $2,201,294 is an increase of $1,021,544 over the initial resolution of $1,179,750. This number is derived as a percentage of construction, which is at 7.5%. The updated construction value of $28,750,587 has changed from the original estimate of $15,450,000 due to several factors. The project scale increase of programming and schematic design, along with the decision to move EMA into the building, is one of those factors. Time is one of the major contributions due to increased costs. When the city began planning for the new fire stations years ago, costs were much less than they presently are. The fire station is anticipated to last 50 to 70 years, and our department staff has done a tremendous amount of work ensuring that the needs and growth of the department and city are accounted for without needless spending occurring. Myself and my team are happy to answer questions as best as we possibly can.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying, trying to avoid needless spending. Looking at this, I mean, I will say that when it first came through City Council, I did mention that there's better ways of making a contract for professional services. And I know that's not under your purview. I believe the contract came out of legal ultimately, and it's not a industry standard type of contract. And when you do a contract such as the one we did, I believe I did an inference, if not directly say that we're tying our hands. But staff told us that they were very comfortable with the approach and how they were moving forward with the project, and also negotiating with the contractor, the architect as well. $515 a square foot back then is the high end for a fire station. From my perspective, as an architect, I looked that up. I was right. It's within the range, but it's at the top. It's not at the bottom, it's not in the middle. So when I hear increased costs, if we're continuing to go at that type of a level, and especially when I see in another document from the contractor, it's up to $800 a square foot now to look at this. I really want to see drawings. I really want to see a floor plan, especially when you use the term DD. So I know I see representatives of Cordigan and Clark here. I don't know if they have a plan or drawing to show us. I know I asked for it over the weekend. I was hoping we would get it sometime today, and we didn't. We have not. I think it's important to see it. So, explain to me though, what exactly happened that without the drawings here, because I still want to see the drawings personally. How do we get to this point? I mean, that's, and I don't know if you're the person to answer it, but before we do that, I'd like to ask purchasing, how much of the original contract have we paid out yet to the contractor and also to the architect?
Alderman, I don't have floor plans here. I do have pictures that we can run. I have those. I was going to run those. If you'd like me to run them now, we can. I was going to run them with the next Legistar item.
Okay.
Jolene Coulter, Director of Purchasing. In regards to how much we paid the Corrigan and Clark and for this Station 4, I'd have to go back and look, but I can get that information before COW.
Well, I'd like
I
to
don't
have.
have it, I'll actually have it probably before the end of the week, so.
Okay, because we'd like to see how we've progressed with that contract. You know, we're talking about also another additional $1 million. And on top of it, I'm looking at this proposal. You know, I don't think a lot of these answers could be answered today. I'm looking at it, and even in the construction management proposal, there's a lot of empty spaces in regards to, or empty boxes of costs. And we don't know what all the costs are. And we're refining costs for DD for an expanded building, which is a little bit more further progressed than when we first approved it. It's easy to sit there and say, okay, when we initially looked at the project, approximately 15,000 square feet, a high end of $515 per square foot, 15,000 square foot building is comparable to a 2 or 3 bay, I believe a 3-bay fire station. So now we're expanding it. I'd like to see what the floor plan looks like personally with the expanded design. If I know it was inferred that we controlled costs by negotiating and capping the proposal for the architect when we first approved this or went through the approval process. Now I don't feel like we're talking about capping it. I have questions of why is part of the architect's fee including furniture, the furniture as well. Why don't we have the audio visual included in these estimates for this project through the general contractor? He's left a few blank items as well. I mean, it's not something that you have to answer today, but that's in the next resolution coming forward down on the agenda. But there's just a lot of questions looking at it because it feels like another redevelopment deal that aren't there. And it makes it very challenging to sit here and say, okay, let's keep moving forward. It's not so much, it's not the architect, it's a matter of how we're approaching it and being a little bit more transparent and clear with the residents and the city council, especially this committee, of how we proceed with this at this juncture with this resolution. So I personally can tell you I have no doubt that staff's working very hard. I had a concern with the process from the get-go. My concerns are coming to light at this juncture, and I know we don't have enough information in this docket for me on my end to keep moving forward. So I'll wait maybe for some questions from other of my colleagues on this committee, but I can tell you right now, I think that it needs to be held at this level until we have that information, so we can to have a solid discussion about moving forward.
Well, I can share some information for you. The reason that IT and the security portion and Purvis is kept out of this contract and out of the construction manager, out of the construction portion is because we have existing contracts in place with the city. So Purvis, we have an existing contract. If there's any additions that need to be done to the Purvis contract, it would be a change order to that and under our contract. So we wouldn't necessarily want to pay a construction manager fee to manage one of our existing agreements. Same with our security, our access, our security access, our cameras, any of that. We've already have an existing contract, so we wouldn't want to pay an upcharge to a construction manager to manage those contracts on our behalf.
Right, but I'd like to know exactly what we're looking at when we're talking numbers. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and and I did check in with IT, they weren't prepared with proposals yet to move forward today,
Okay.
so on
And-
that side of it, that I can tell you. As for the architect fees, they've always been at 7.5%. Our issue was, we didn't know what we were getting into. We knew what we had a station for of X percentage square feet. We didn't know how much, when you're adding in the headquarters, when you're adding in EMA, that adds into, obviously, the construction costs themselves, but the fuel, the fuel storage tanks, we're putting a fuel storage tank on the site, so our fire and our police will be able to fuel up there instead of going to now a public works facility to fuel that up. So
Okay.
those are pieces of the puzzle that we didn't necessarily know when we went into it, but as the conversations of the site and what we wanted to see, that's one of the
Well,
things.
this is where I'm coming from, so you understand. I think I made mention of it when we were talking about this contract, about our approach, contract approach. Contract approach was to bring in a construction manager. Architect was brought in afterwards. I think if we had the architect in from the get-go, architect involved in square footages, a contract with the architect that is an industry-wide accepted contract, which I know they've done before with the city of Aurora, an AIA, where their responsibilities are clear-cut. And two, when you have a negotiated fee, there's also a sliding scale. So if there are challenges, pardon me, there are challenges and we need to, or we decide to expand the scope, the fee goes down. And from 15 to 28 million, I think there's a valid situation to have a discussion about maybe the fee going down, percentage-wise. And that's, I believe, I was inferring to, if not brought up, in regards to this approach, where we're tying our hands down with a contract, a specific fee, and I was reassured that it was all taken care of, and it's all gonna work out. Those comments of being reassured are out the window at this point, at least from my standpoint. And I would really like more information. I really think that we do a more better job at negotiating it, but also having a better contract, because I feel like we're just given approval to make changes at this point, when I think that we also, if we're gonna give changes, we need the information. We need the floor plan. We should know what's in there and compare it to the numbers that are being provided to us. So, yeah, I'm more aching to tell my colleagues that we keep it here for another 2 weeks.
Good evening, or afternoon, whatever it is. Chris Minnick.
Afternoon.
Chief Financial
Good
Officer.
afternoon.
And Alderman, we can provide the information that you're requesting, but I do want to point out that we have always based the architect's contract based on the construction costs of the building. There was an estimate used that was used at the initial design phase that, as you mentioned, turned out to be about $500 a foot. When we did go out and do the bid process on the documents and on the drawings that we will provide, those did come back significantly higher. And based on the fact that we had the architect's fee based on the construction costs, obviously we've seen that reflected in a corresponding rise in the architect's fee as is proposed and as is in the documents this evening. But we will get you additional information. But I do want to point out that the $800 per square foot is actually based on the bids that we did receive back and that we will be talking about a little bit later on in the agenda.
Sure, which raises that major question, why, how to get that high?
Okay.
That's a huge increase. I know prices have gone up, but even based on what I'm experiencing with my office, that's a huge leap. And I'll be frank with you, I would have liked to see the architect involved from the get-go. I would like the architect to have input with the fee structure or the cost structure. I mean, they have construction management experience as well. They document it in their in their proposal. Or their fee will
And-
go down even if we use construction management.
And Corrigan and Clark was involved from the beginning. They were involved before the construction manager was in this process. So they actually, in fact, in the documentation, you can see where the estimate of the square footage costs came from. It's quoted in their letter from 2023. I don't remember the date, but it's in 2023.
Well, there's the old adage, measure twice and cut once. We've already cut once, and it's not obviously it's not working out. We have a little stumbling block with $1. So I'd love to see the information at this point before I felt comfortable moving forward with this agenda item.
Understood.
For another 2 weeks and get this information and be able to look at the drawings and and compare it to what's on the docket, so I could have a more intimate conversation, maybe off record, with someone at staff and have a better understanding.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you so much. I mean, it's not that we're very supportive of the fire department. We don't expect the fire department to understand numbers. We do want them to have something that they're going to enjoy going to every day, especially EMA. I mean, I think that's on. We've been on the record with that over the years, at least over the last 12 years. I mean, we did the fire station over by Holy Angels over there. Number 4 was that? 7. I'm sorry. This one's number 4. Number 7, and it worked out really well too out there. And I think we're on record for it. But like I said, it's great to just measure twice and cut once at this point. And not make sure that we're able to also give information to the community on why we're moving it forward. And our colleagues on COW, I'll be able, especially as somebody who practices architecture, to tell them, yeah, this is why I feel I voted yes to move it forward to this level, and we can keep moving forward. I'd hate to just keep moving it forward with a project this important, and we'll get you the information at COW. I'm not aching with a project this size. And I have no concerns with the architect to be able to perform his services either.
Okay, it's understood.
Okay. Yes?
Just a couple quick questions. Somewhere in the timeline, we decided to add AIMA to this with additional square footage. How did that timeline work out? It wasn't part of the original plan. We revisited it, and that's part of the rationale for this change in scope of work. Is that accurate? I'm summarizing to make sure for my own clarity.
So, Mr. Alderman, I wasn't in the office when this all occurred. I've been in the office since July of last year, so it actually occurred before I was in the office, so I can only speak to what I know. Yes, the original numbers, from what I understand, were prior to EMA being added to the scope of the project. Once EMA was added, it obviously added a large amount to the scope and increased the size of the building overall. I'm not sure if Mr. Minnick can speak to that at all or not.
Or if there's, I guess, was there consideration of putting EMA in a different facility? Is it necessary that it's in this facility? Is it central to the
So one of the main reasons for moving EMA over is for the amount of meetings and that kind of
Coordination.
stuff. Yeah, the coordination of having it on one campus. It's easy for us to get together with Natalie, her staff, have meetings, as well as her being right there for the PD for meetings as well. It also gets them out of the police department, which allows the police department the extra room that they need. It also allows for her to bring some of her fleet of vehicles from where they're housed on the current area over to the new building to be housed out of that area as well. So there's a few features involved in that. From that perspective.
Okay. And then, so was there a change in staff on the fire department's end and in the planning process? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's very accurate. I want to say I believe there's been 4 chiefs in my position since Chief McCabe, who's now the fire chief, was originally in my position. Then it was Chief Makovich, then Chief Anslow, then myself. It started. This station originally started under Chief McCabe, moved forward with Makovich to Anslow, and now I'm in it. So there's been a lot of hands changing hands of it, and that's what I told Mr. Messiakos earlier by email. Is I don't have a lot of that earlier information because for all I know, it's in Chief Makovich's email box and he's long gone, so.
How comfortable are you with the way things currently stand as
I'm-
far as meeting the needs of this facility and the department as a whole?
So from that perspective, very comfortable, because I've gotten to get my hands on it. We've really sat down as a staff, as an organization. We've thumbed through everything. We've found places where we can do value engineering, which we've done. We've actually pulled out $500,000 that we thought was unnecessary out of the numbers that you're seeing today. From the perspective of supplying good service to the community, it's fantastic because this is the third step in our plan to move those stations around. We originally did a station analysis back in 2021. When that analysis took part, it showed us lacking in the upper northeast quadrant of the city. So what we went and did with this capital improvement plan was relocate two of our stations, Station 4 and Station 9 are both being relocated, and adding Station 13. This three-phase relocation of buildings and adding that other building creates a large amount of protection for that northeastern quadrant of the city. And that's our overall goal, is to be better supplied at responding to emergencies for the citizens.
So the other thing is that's why I guess I was asking about central locality for IME. Does it matter where they're at? I mean, I understand the coordination can happen at this facility, but for reaching the whole city.
Are you talking about EMA right now?
EMA, yes, sorry.
The nice thing, I guess, from that perspective, and Natalie might be able to come up here and speak more accurately to that. I think the nice thing is that we have now a protected structure with this new EMA building. It's a storm-protected structure, right? So when we have a tornado environmental situation where we have an activation, this is going to be a place where we can run safely and
Command headquarters and
exactly
not be impacted by the weather.
That's it, not be
Understood.
impacted by weather. So, do you have anything to add, Natalie?
I guess the main question is, does it need to be centralized, or is this a good location for what you need to do?
Yeah, so, I don't know. I hope you guys can hear me. Natalie Weiza, Emergency Management Coordinator for the city. Yes, central is most ideal. Being down here directly downtown is not ideal. Being far east or far west is not ideal. Our primary impact does fall under public safety. However, when we were first put in, EMA was first put in the police department, it was ran as a person of one, maybe 1.5. We have grown in staff, and what the facility is now does not sustain the staff that we have, nor does it sustain the mission that we have expanded to encompass, and we're now working with all departments in the city. And so when Chief Kaufman sits here and talks about being potentially just an isolated footprint on the public safety campus, we took into a lot of consideration of what we're dealing with under our mission and our scope and preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. And so when we had these conversations, it wasn't all based on want, but on need, right? When we're looking at different things as cyber threats, or we're looking at active threats or human-caused incidents or climate change and sustainability, we really had deep conversations, because if EMA goes down, Aurora is having a bad day. So to have that central location to bring downtown up and to have the department's represented, the private utilities there, our nonprofits, our philanthropies, that is the best location in terms of ease of access, parking. We have the utilities up there available to us to sustain operations, whether it's long-term response or long-term recovery, so we can put Aurora back together when there's an impact.
Okay. And I guess, you know, I don't know if Alderman Masiakos would take the conversation offline. I wouldn't mind joining you. I guess I do have one question, which we can probably cover in detail later, but about I think there was something about the construction management. This would be reduced from 3.5 to 2.5 if we go with Corrigan and Clark. Did I read that accurately?
I'm sorry, please.
So I think that the A&E is 7.5. I'm looking at is it the last page of the contract? Not quite the last page. Where they're reducing fees by 1% if we use Corrigan and Clark for the construction management.
Yes, but We have already contracted with Leopardo for the construction
Okay.
and.
I didn't know if we were reconsidering or that was just an offer letter on Corrigan's part.
That was part of the initial discussion, part of the initial consideration when we talked about bringing Leopardo in. But we, as mentioned, we've already contracted with Leopardo, and they have been providing those services for us
Okay.
on that side.
No further question, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I got a comment. So I'm familiar with the EOC at APD, and it would be nice to see more details as to the new facility and what that looks like. So if you guys could bring that forward, just to see what, compare the current situation to the new and improved one. And also, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, so I know that the costs for the 3 stations were programmed into our budget. So my question is, we know what the costs are for station 9 and 13, and obviously this one is a not just a station, but a central station and the EMA. And so what do we include in our 2025 budget for this project?
I would need to go back and look. I believe we had a number of about 35 million, I believe, but I will double check that.
My point is that we knew it was going to be more than the other 2 stations because it was going to
Correct.
be much more. So I just wanted to
Correct.
see
And-
how
Yes, and keep in mind, as we've gone through the process, we have received cost updates from various points in time in the process as we move forward. The numbers that are reflected a little bit later on, again, are based on the bid process that was undertaken a few months ago, or in the last couple months.
So we did adjust our budget to try to anticipate
To the extent
this.
we could, based on budget deadlines and necessities, as you're well aware, we have to have a budget passed by the end of the year, so.
Right.
Yeah, as we could, we did.
If you could just let us know what that number is. Sounds like we're closer than the change order.
In terms of the budget, yes.
Thank you.
So, at this point, Alderman Temesiacos, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to keep it here for 2 weeks.
So you want to make the
so we
motion
can
to
straight
keep
out-
it
Yeah,
here?
absolutely.
Second.
That's my motion.
Second by Alderman Lash, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
Is it clear then I know we want to compare it, what's in the budget versus what our projected costs are in the floor plan, just
Yeah.
so they know what they're.
Okay.
And the architect is a local architect, so it won't take very long to get a set of drawings, I'm sure, a DD or a schematic design in a PDF form for future reference as well for us here in the rest of the week.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, so next item is 25-0221, a resolution to award the 2025 manhole rehabilitation to National Power Roofing Corp. And the bid amount to $391,272.00.
Good afternoon, Kurt Muse with Engineering Division. So this manhole rehabilitation contract is a result of the manhole inspections that were done within the overlay limits last year. It involves structures in the pavement that would not require disturbing the pavement, such as lining the interior of the walls or injecting grout to the outside of the structure to eliminate infiltration or root intrusion, and or removal and repair the concrete bench of the structure, which is the trough or the flow line in the bottom. The other activity it would involve is chimney rehabilitation of structures in the parkway. That does involve some digging in the parkway. And they would remove the adjustment rings, replace the framing lid, and put a new rubber gasket around those to prevent also infiltration and root intrusion. So we put this out for public bid. National Power and Rotting has done some previous projects in the city, so we're confident they can do the work. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Motion approved.
Second?
Okay, motion Motion approved by Alderman Ted Masiacos, second Alderman Lopshi. I'm sorry. John Lash, I'm getting Lopshi.
Bringing him back.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 4-0. Next item is 25-0242, a resolution awarding the bid to Service Sanitation, Inc., located in Aurora, Illinois, for portable toilet rental service for various city Aurora divisions.
Good afternoon, Alderman. Jeff Schmidt, Superintendent of Golf Operations out of Phil's Park. This is for a one-year rental service contract for portable toilets for various divisions within the city of Aurora. The golf and purchasing divisions work closely with all applicable divisions to meet the city's needs and requirements for the portable toilets for the city-owned golf course, park property, special events, community service, and other locations as needed. We had 5 bidders respond to the invitation. Overall bid with between services and units, Service Sanitation located in Aurora, Illinois was the lowest. The contract could be for 1 year with 2 one-year extensions. Based on our various staff anticipations, there are sufficient funds provided in the 25 budget throughout the respective divisional accounts for the departments and divisions needed to cover the expense. I'd be available for any questions.
Questions?
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Motion approved by Alderman Demborado, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 4-0. Okay. Next item is 25-0259, a resolution authorizing payment to Leopardo Construction in the amount not to exceed $29,484,587 with an additional 5% contingency for the construction of the new fire department headquarters, fire station number 4, consists with the scope of work authorizing by resolution R24-284.
Mike Hoffman, Assistant Fire Chief. Would you guys like me to go through this whole thing, or would you like to hold off for 2 weeks, or what's the best? I mean, we've touched on a lot of the points. I guess I have a few more points I can make about the fire station while I'm up here, but the grand scheme of things is I'm guessing that we're going to revisit this in 2 weeks as well.
May I?
Yeah.
Thank
What
you,
do you-
Madam Chair. I wouldn't mind you sharing a few more points, but your guess is correct from where I'm sitting and what I would like to do. Because
Okay.
I was gonna say, looking at Leopardo's document, they're basing their numbers, and they state in here, drawings issued bid date 2/9/2025. So no drawings, but yet they're giving us numbers. And goes back to the same point. So very intuitive, but I would like to hear what else you might have to say.
Sure, I'll run this down real quick for you. We started this process. Jolene, do you want to say something? Oh, I'm sorry. No, come on up. Come on up.
No, while we're on this subject, I thought it was Jolene, my apologies. It's Lee.
Hi. Hi, I'm Lee McMillan. I'm with Leopardo Construction. I'm Executive Vice President of Operations there. So I'm representing Leopardo here tonight, and I just want to clear up what may be a little bit of confusion about where we're at in the process of this project, just so that everybody is on the same page. So the construction documents were issued by Corrigan Clark, and this project was publicly bid for the city as part of our scope of work as a construction manager for you, the city. We bid the project. It was due on February 28th. So we have full bidding documents that we bid off of, and it went out as a public bid. We bid out to over, several hundred subcontractors. So these are the numbers that are in this guaranteed maximum price are all fully bid, fully documented public bid numbers.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify
Okay.
that, because I'm not sure that you had
If I
understood
may,
that
you
earlier.
said, so are these construction documents that you
Yeah.
bid out? Okay,
Yes.
because our documents say design development.
We are completely
that
through
too? Okay.
construction documents.
So when we're looking to approve something for a previous item, it says DD.
I'm guessing that's just a typo, sir?
So now I even have another question. Are we going to have additional fees for CD? Do you understand what I'm saying, where I'm going with this?
You will
And I'm
not,
not
sir.
trying to, you don't have to answer that, but I just, So,
I understand your questions, and I
so
can answer most of them for you.
you're way ahead of what we're trying to approve here. It's like, we're approving something, or we're asked to approve something, maybe we should have approved a little while earlier, maybe a month or two earlier, maybe.
I believe the package that's in front of you is a guaranteed maximum price.
But, yeah, I understand that, but is it open books or no?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, if I were looking at your budget estimate, now I understand why maybe there's some empty slots here. I would even loved a budgetary number, because I would love to know exactly what we anticipate the cost is. As much as I respect, and I also understand, I have no issue with the $35 million budgetary amount in the budget. I'd love to understand how much we're looking out of that $35 million to spend. Because there's also other things that may be important, that if we can save $100,000 or
Completely
$50,000, we
understand
can
that
put
question.
somewhere else in the city, and understand that. So I would love to have maybe even a more comprehensive idea of what this thing's gonna cost, but you said you have the bid documents. You
Yes,
went out
and
to bid,
the
and these are
number-
hard costs.
Yes.
Okay.
The 28 million
Okay.
is the guaranteed maximum price for the
Okay.
hard construction.
Okay.
And what purchasing has not included in the number is the difference, which is what you're talking about, is the total project budget,
So then.
which is those soft costs you were talking about earlier with
Okay.
Jolene.
So then-
Those are things that would not be part of the construction manager's guaranteed maximum price.
Okay,
So to get to the number that you're looking for, sir, you would need to take our guaranteed maximum price and add those items, like the FF&E, the architect's
Okay.
fees. And the architect's fees will not change because those fees are based on the hard construction costs that are in the guaranteed maximum price. So
but the confusion lies in now, there's construction documents. My docket references design development, so at this point, I want construction documents. I don't want design development.
completely
I'm-
understand that. I'm
I'm
assuming
just
that
telling
was
you right
a
now,
typo.
I just dawned on me, I don't want to see DD. I want to see CD,
Yes,
right?
yes, you want to
That's
see the final drawings.
Absolutely, and I see a nice, we saw earlier a nice little rendering, but it's not drawings.
They-
And that's,
Yes, I mean, obviously they exist.
so now
because
I'm
we
even
bid on
more
them.
confused. You just provided even more clarity that wasn't provided in my document, so I appreciate that very much.
So you said there's some blanks, and I just want to make sure I understand what you're.
Like
so
page
that-
3, it says,
Let me get that for you.
under electrical, 16,700 fire alarm, I'm sorry, 16,800 security systems, 16,800 audio-visual systems. There's not even a budgetary amount in there, which I would have loved to see a budgetary amount. And even with, now that you have the hard costs, even adding a budgetary, so we really know what the square foot cost is.
So those are specifically excluded from our scope.
I understand
By
that.
direction of the city.
But our staff here just alluded to that we already have contracts. So there should be some level of insight that can be provided on a budgetary level, especially because we have CDs and we went out to bid for a final project. Personally, I know a number can be put in, the budgetary number that's very close to being what it should be.
Okay, so I just
Thank
want to.
you. Thank you very much
Totally
for,
understand. I just want to make sure there aren't pieces that the construction management team needs to make sure that we have for you for the next meeting.
I have no issues with Leopardo. I know you built also our police station. It's working out really well for us.
I was the project manager, so
Were
hopefully
you?
it was okay.
Okay, all right. Again, it's not a matter of whether the existing construction manager's doing a quality job. It's not a concern of whether our architect's doing a quality job. It's not a concern of the fire department not getting what we feel. I mean, we're the best that there can be for our staff and our city employees who are doing a bang out job for our residents. It's a matter of just having information that adds up. And you just gave me more insight that, no, this docket's not adding up. So
Yeah.
you're way ahead. You're further ahead.
Well, we are prepared to start construction in May. That was the intent, and so that's the goal that just so everyone understands timeline. I think it's important for everyone to know frame of reference. So the bids were taken on February 28th. Those bids are only good for so long, and then you'll have to go out and rebid. And I can guarantee you that the city will not benefit from a rebid in this situation, given what's going on right now. So just please keep that in mind. Tariffs are having a massive impact on the construction environment. So I just want to make sure that the city understands that you have a certain amount of time before those bids will become
null and void. All those subcontractors, there's 136 subs that built.
When did
bid on it.
you get the numbers?
February 28th.
February 28th. And how good are the bids good till?
I believe they're required to hold them by 90 days based on your documents.
Where does 90 days put us?
Well, 90 days to February 28th, right? Yeah.
End of May, okay.
So
it's
just
not gonna hurt
understand-
us to wait for the construction documents and wait for 2 weeks.
Just understand that the longer you wait, the more challenging you
I didn't
make
create the
this.
situation.
No, I understand.
So
I
I
just
wanna make
wanna
sure it's on
you have all
record
the
and the
information.
microphone.
I just want to make sure you have all the information. So just understand that your subcontractor community obviously is also, very concerned about making sure things move forward, because when this was bid, was before all the tariffs were introduced. Okay, so for
They
them.
can still, even within 90 days, they can still, I'm sure there's some kind of contract clause that they're gonna say, hey, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
That's.
Even if we approve it, they can still do it. I'm sure there's a contract clause.
Yes, I think you're making my point for me.
Okay, all right, okay.
Okay. So,
Just to address that quick question, what is our plan, maybe from both your perspective and we might need our own legal if construction
So-
costs go up?
So my perspective is this: the sooner that you approve the guaranteed maximum price and we're able to get them all under contract, your risk drops significantly. I can't say that your risk ever goes completely away, because force majeure is a real thing. And if this creates that window with what's going on right now, people are going to come back and there will be risk. It's important to understand the tariffs, though, they're on pieces of the materials, okay? It's not like a 25% tariff increases the construction project by 25%. The total construction cost, 60% of that is labor, 40% is materials. And the materials that have tariffs on them are just a portion of the materials that are being used in the project. But it's still a significant cost and risk for the subcontractors. And so you remove that risk for the city and, quite frankly, for the subcontractors, of which there are many who are actually winning subcontractors from the Aurora designated area. You're reducing the risk for all of them. So I would just encourage you, as I'm encouraging all of our clients during these volatile times, to not take too long to make commitments, because they can turn around and make commitments very quickly and lock in prices. Prices are not going to go down. They will just continue to go up over time. That has historically been the case. And when you have volatile times like this, they will go up at a higher percentage every year. This happened during COVID, and it could repeat itself. So we're just suggesting that you lock it in as soon as you can, because your risk gets mitigated. As soon as you give us a contract, it gets mitigated, and then it gets mitigated when we can turn around and issue subcontracts to all the subcontractors. And we can do that very quickly once the city gives us the approval of the GMP. So I just wanted to make you aware of that situation. Did you have another question?
I understand what you said. There's no guarantees, period, no matter what. Even if we approve this today, it's no guarantee.
No, but it's certainly much, you are in a much better position, right? If you
We
do
would have
it-
been in a much better position if we knew what was going on a little bit earlier in the process than what we know today, what we're just discovering right now here at the dais as well.
I'm sorry, I can't speak to that.
No, I'm just telling you. I mean, you made a statement, I made a statement too. And it has nothing to do with you. But
Okay.
I'm sure you do what you're being asked to do per your contract, working with the administration.
Are there any other questions that anybody has that we should be prepared to answer at the next meeting? We just want to make sure that we're getting all the information to you.
Just, this is for Chris Minnick over there. So I guess to piggyback on the question I had earlier, so then the cost of the three pieces then of the project, the FF&E, the construction, and the architectural, that total compared to what we budgeted for. That's what I would be asking for. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll need to put in some of the security measures and some of the IT components that are in that electrical section as well, that do not have hard numbers as of yet.
Do you know if we've gone out to bid for those and they're just not in there, or do we have to go out to bid to them? And
I need to catch up on that.
Gotcha.
I am not sure.
Okay. So, Ted, you want to?
I'd like to make a motion to keep it here for 2 weeks and make sure that we have all our Ts crossed, all our Is dotted, and between the architectural contract and this construction management contract for this project.
Okay. So Ted
Second.
Misiacos make the motion to hold for 2 weeks. Second, John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion pass, not pass, 4-0. Motion holds. Next item is 25-0260, a resolution authorizing Crawford, Murphy, and Tile to provide professional engineering services to the Water Production Division for a new water well construction project and the amount not to exceed $195,990.
Good afternoon, Bob Lively, Superintendent of the Water Production Division. Yeah, so we're seeking authorization to enter a professional engineering services agreement for comprehensive bids, specifications, bidding administration, construction observation with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley for proposed well 128. The project is funded through CIP I-037. Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley is the engineer of record on a current well drilling project, new well 105. That project is moving along nicely. They have been the engineer of record for all recent well drilling projects for the Water Production Division and for the city of Aurora.
Comments, questions?
so moved.
Second.
Okay, motion passed by John Lash, second Alderman Demborado. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you. Next item is resolution authorizing engineering enterprises Inc. to provide professional services for the Church Road Elevated Water Storage Tank Rehabilitation Project for the Water Production Division for not to exceed amount of $206,149.
Bob Lively again, Water Production Division. Yes, this is similar item to get these guys on, get them retained to do the same work for the Church Road Elevated Water Storage Tank. To give you a little bit of history on that tank, it's been in service since 1976. After 25 years, its initial recoding and rehabilitation was performed on it. We're coming up on the second 25 years of life next year, so it'll been in service for 50 years. We routinely have these tanks inspected by independent engineering companies. We follow the recommendations for rehab and recoding, and basically it's going to be due next year. This is budgeted through CIP I-054, so we're looking to get the design portion of that started this year, and then actually do the recoding and the rehab next year.
So when you're talking about recording, so they mean not replacement?
Simple terms, to repaint it.
Uh-huh.
The painting makes things look good, obviously, but it really protects the steel. It's a steel tank, so without the proper coatings on those, they will rust and we'll suffer metal loss and things like that. So, 25-year coating is a typical lifetime right now for coatings. Aesthetically, the tower looks pretty good on the outside, but it's the inside that really starts to corrode from all the water.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Move
So
for
moved.
approval.
Motion approved by Demborado, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is 25-0271, a resolution to award the Catham Road Cycle Water Main Improvement Project located in Ward 5 to Miller Pipeline LLC in the bid amount of $721,605.00.
Hello again. This section of roadway and water main is located in the Cherry Hill subdivision at the southwest corner of West Galena Boulevard and Orchard Road. The east half of the project, the subdivision was built in the late 50s, and the west half, the early 70s. It has a recent history of breaks, so it's kind of made it to the top of our list for replacement. We think there's going to be 25 water services that are likely lead that will get replaced. Some in the west half that were built in the 70s, maybe partial lead, partial copper, but we'll confirm that once we get there. We bid it out, got 5 bids, with Miller Pipeline being the low bidder. Not done any work with them, but they are IDOT pre-qualified for this contract amount, and we checked on their references, and think they can handle the work. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
I guess, what's the rest of the neighborhood look like? That's not really a very old neighborhood for this kind of replacement.
We've done some lead replacements with the on-call contract that have popped out.
Oh, I meant the
water main.
the main itself, yeah.
For some reason, this stretch is broken a lot more than the rest of the subdivision. When possible, we try and group as much together to be efficient in replacing them. But for this street in particular, it's broken a lot more than the neighboring streets, so.
No further questions.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Alderman Dembarado, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passed 4-0. Thank you. Next item is 25-0273, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with Rubino Engineering in the amount of $67,055.00 for materials testing at River Edge Park.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer with the Department of Public Works. So we are under construction out at River Edge Park. Things are moving along well. They're pouring foundations for the gate structure and the beverage pavilion and the restrooms. The backstage is coming along well too. They're actually going vertical already, so things are progressing nicely. So what this contract is for is just the materials testing. So Rubino Engineering, they'll go out there, they'll test the concrete, they'll be on site when they're doing the piers. This is to cover the asphalt and all those different materials, just to make sure that they're being installed per spec.
Yes?
It's for the whole project?
Yes.
We haven't started pouring concrete, I'm guessing?
We did a little bit. They've been out there. The reason we're bringing this forward is we know they're going to go over 50,000. So we issued them a PO under the purchasing guidelines of anything less than 50,000. We can just issue those POs. But I want to make sure that we're getting out before we go over 50,000. We're nowhere near that yet, but we know it's going to go over. So we need council action to approve this dollar amount.
Understood.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion
Second.
approved by Alderman Dembarado, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor?
Aye.
Say. Okay, motion passed 4-0. Thank you very much. No other items for this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Alderman John Lash, second Alderman Ted Mesiacos. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion adjourned at 4:54 p.m. Thank you very much.